Hello, I'm Nick Park from Evangelical Alliance Ireland, and this is our weekly message. It's Friday, but Sunday's coming. Do you ever have a plan that doesn't quite work out the way you want it to? Last weekend, my wife Janice and I, we thought we had a plan, a good plan. We were going to, I'd got an invitation to go and preach at a great church, Church in Dunstable, near Luton. And so we got the plan. We would fly out on Saturday night. I would preach at that church on Sunday. And then we'd go into the centre of London, spend a couple of days just enjoying London, do a bit of sightseeing, a couple of romantic meals together, staying in a nice hotel, and fly home Tuesday afternoon. Well, it did not work out as planned. The church went great, had a great time. Wonderful church, wonderful pastor, wonderful people. But by the time I got back to join Janice after the service, I was coughing and spluttering, and to be honest, we both came down with a real bad dose of the flu. Now, it felt like COVID, but tested negative straight 5-6 days in a row. So it just a nasty, nasty dose of the flu. And so our romantic break was about sneezing and coughing and spluttering. Temperatures over 40. We had temperatures of over 40 degrees, and man, it was horrible. So anyway, we managed to make it back home, feeling really bad. We've been wrapped up at home in front of the fire since we got back. And this morning, I knew I had to record this video, so I filmed these in a log cabin, which looks nice. It looks cozy. People say, "Oh, I love the background you've got for your videos." But actually, I want to tell you, when you haven't had the heating on in it for a while, it is cold. So I came down early this morning. First thing I did this morning, as soon as I woke up, I put on my pajamas, I put on my overcoat, I put on my shoes and scarf and hat, and let the dogs out in the garden, and came down to turn the heaters off here in the log cabin. And I was really shivering with a cold. And then I was reminded of something. I was reminded of a similar bout of cold weather as we're experiencing now, but this was 45 years ago, and I was homeless. I remember what it was like to actually be sleeping out on the street in bitterly cold weather during winter. Then I began to think about the people who are on the streets in Ireland. We have a problem, as you know, with homelessness and people that are on the streets, and had somebody died on the streets this week. So we have people dying on the streets of Ireland in the middle of winter. Whether it's summer or winter, it is miserable being on the streets. But at this time of year and this time of weather, it is, I can testify from personal experience, having been homeless for 3 years as a young man, it is extremely difficult. You know, there's various reasons why people are homeless. In my case, it was because of my own life-controlling problems and addictions. And in other cases, it's because people have got evicted from their accommodation, often through no fault of their own. It might be because a marriage or relationship has broken down. There are couples who are on the streets because they could get accommodation in single gender accommodation, but they want to stay together, and so they would rather be together, homeless on the street, than separated and in homeless hostels, one for men, one for women, and stuff like that. So there's many different reasons why people are on the streets, but it is an absolute tragedy that we have people living on the streets in Ireland. Now, okay, compared with other countries, Ireland is not particularly bad. There's, other countries, our rate of homelessness per head of population is slightly less than that of the United States. It's less than many European countries. Of course, when you look nationally, the countries with the most homeless people is sadly what you would expect: Syria, Yemen. The country in Europe with the highest rate of homeless people is, of course, Ukraine, because war is a great driver of homelessness. Because homeless people in the land where the war is taking place, but then also homeless people who have fled to other countries as refugees and migrants. Now, there are people who would look at our homeless crisis here in Ireland and would try to make immigration the issue, and they want to make everything about immigration, and they basically want to blame the immigrants for the fact that there's homeless people on the streets. But you know, the fact is, some of the countries in Europe that have the strictest laws and policies against immigrants are some of the countries with the highest rates of homelessness. And there's no reason why a prosperous country like Ireland, that's supposed to be a compassionate democracy, cannot address the needs of homelessness and care for migrants who come to our shores as well. So to try to take the homeless issue and just use them and exploit them to follow some kind of anti-immigrant agenda is really deeply disturbing that people would do that. But political extremists on both sides will do that kind of thing. So the main thing for us as Christians is not to complain about homelessness and just wring our hands and say how terrible it is. Neither is it to try to use it to exploit it to pursue some other agenda. But as Christians, what can we do about the homeless problem we have in Ireland? Well, one thing we can do is random acts of kindness. Now, this doesn't address the systemic problem, but I want to tell you, I remember times when I was homeless on the streets and somebody showed me a random act of kindness, and oh my goodness, it transformed that night for me, and in one case at least probably saved my life. And so while a random act of kindness cannot help every homeless person in Ireland, it can help the person you're helping, if it's just giving them a blanket, if it's giving them food, if it's giving them money, whatever. We can also support those church ministries and Christian ministries that are working among the homeless, and there are increasing number of them. I'm so proud of the work that they do on behalf of the body of Christ, showing the love and compassion of Jesus to people on the streets. And you know, if you would like to get involved, I'm sure that many of the homeless ministries would love to receive donations and volunteers. So if you can help them in any way, please pray about getting involved there. Of course, we have to raise our voice as well. This is a political issue. And so we have to lobby our politicians and insist that our politicians will treat it as a priority. And also that we as a church will treat it as a priority. You know, sometimes we are well known for getting all hot and bothered over certain social issues and neglecting others. Let's not allow homelessness to be one of the issues that we neglect as if it were not important or if it was not dear and near to the heart of God. And then we need to pray. Now, I'm not talking about prayer as a substitute for doing anything else. There has become a bit of a meme, if you like, on social media and internet, where there are people, particularly politicians, for example, who will not take any meaningful action to address problems in society, but says we'll pray for the victims. Prayer is not an excuse to do nothing, but prayer is, for Christians who should be the most active people in the world, prayer is also one of our activities, because we believe that prayer works. And so please do, if you have the opportunity to show kindness and to alleviate the condition of somebody who is dealing with a situation of homelessness, then please do so. If you can assist and help or support any of our homeless ministries across the nation, please do so. If you can influence politicians and those in power to see that to agitate for more policies that are going to actually reduce the homelessness and have a more compassionate approach to homelessness, please do so. But pray. Believers, pray, because prayer changes things, and this is something in our nation that needs to change. As I'm talking about this subject, I'm just remembering again what it was like to be on the streets in the depth of winter. It was grim. It was horrible. It'd be easily for me to feel depressed now, particularly as I'm still wrapped up. I'm still trying to shake off this flu. My wife is still under the care of the doctors, but I thank God I'm coming out the other side of it. But you know what? I refuse to be downbeat about this. And even faced with the horrors of homelessness that are afflicting people's lives here in our country of Ireland, I declare it might be Friday, but Sunday's coming.